Good morning, everybody. We are Committee on Waterland here at the State Capitol, Tuesday, March 31st, 2026, 10 o'clock a.m. agenda, conference room 411. I am the Vice Chair, Dee Morikawa, and Chair Mark Hashem. We will be switching roles today. Okay, let's see. We have some ground rules. There will be a 2-minute time limit for testifier. And well, because hopefully we can finish by 12, because if we don't, all the bills are dead. And for Zoom, please keep yourself muted and your video off while waiting to testify after your testimony is complete. The Zoom chat function will allow you to chat with the tech staff and not us. If you're disconnected, you may attempt to rejoin. If you're disconnected while presenting testimony, you may be allowed to continue if time permits. Okay, the House is not responsible for any bad internet connections. In the event of a network failure, it may be necessary to reschedule the hearing or schedule a meeting for decision making. In that case, an appropriate notice will be posted. Please avoid using any trademark or copyrighted images if you are using a Zoom background. And please refrain from profanity or uncivil behavior. Such behavior may be ground for removal from the hearing. Okay, first up, we're gonna have HCR 13 HR 15, requesting the Department of Land and Natural Resources to collaborate with the Department of Education and State Public Charter School Commission to develop a student choral stewardship program. Okay, first up, we have the DLNR.
Chair, Vice Chair, committee members, Charlie Taylor on behalf of DLNR's Division of Aquatic Resources. We stand on our written testimony providing comments. Just making note that we have provided some proposed amendments for your consideration and are available for any questions. Mahalo.
Okay, next up, the Department of Education. Not present. We have in support Kapua Swain. Also in support Margaret Remick, Johnny May Perry, and Ron Tubbs, Hawaii Sustainable Reef Fisheries. In support. Member, is there anyone else in the room that wants to testify? Seeing none, members, are there any questions? You have questions? We'll wait for you.
No, thank you.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
Let's move on. We are on HCR 61, urging Department of Land and Natural Resources to work within its partners to increase investment in policies, incentives, workforce, and nursing capacity to reforest Hawaii's public and private lands. And first up, we have DOFA. Thank you.
Good morning, aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Jennifer Grimm. I'm the Forestry Program Manager for the Forestry Program at the Division of Forestry and Wildlife, DLNR. We're going to stand on our written testimony and strongly support this resolution.
Thank you. Next up, we have in person, Melissa Pavlicek, reforestation policy.
Aloha, Vice Chair Morikawa. We have one of our reforestation policy Hui leaders online, Jocelyn Herbert. I also submitted my personal testimony. If I could do my personal testimony at the appropriate time and then ask Jocelyn to present on behalf of the Hui, would that be okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so my name is Melissa Pavlicek and I had the opportunity to see some satellite footage of Hawaii Island shown to me by the introducer of this resolution, and it was a very stark contrast between the areas that had reforestation efforts and those that did not. Those that did not and did not have good land management practices on Hawaii Island are devoid of trees and are very barren. I also was pointed out to me the reforestation efforts along a stream and how impactful that can be in reforesting the areas around the stream. Recently, I went to a presentation at Bishop Museum about conservation and ecology, and I heard students present their research and use the phrase, "no snails, no whales," which struck me as funny because I did not know or understand the connection between forestry and the health of our watersheds, our streams, and our oceans. But after sitting through those presentations, I gained a deeper understanding of how important it is not just to focus on the upper areas of our mountains, but the mid-levels where agriculture and other land management practices are needed. So this resolution is very personally important to me. What is important to me is not so much urging DLNR to do anything, but it's the policy statement and the opportunity to share with legislators like yourselves how important reforestation is. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room to testify? Okay, we have, she's on Zoom, right? Okay. Jocelyn Herbert?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Chair Hashem, Vice Chair Morikawa. Thank you, first of all, for hearing this resolution and for the opportunity to testify this morning. I'm a participant in the reforestation policy hui and testifying in strong support of the resolution. I think one thing I wanted to point out, in addition to the written testimony, is that this is really a cross-sector hui that includes a number of ranchers, large ranchers, conservation organizations, education and cultural institutions, and state and federal agencies. And the reason for that kind of impressive and broad representation is because of the importance of reforestation to our state and the multiple benefits that it can provide to us. We have thousands of acres of degraded public and private lands across Hawaii, and we see the damage that happens to our communities when we don't have enough trees in the ground, frankly, and native forests to absorb tremendous amounts of rainfall and to help mitigate some of the disastrous impacts of flooding and fire that we are unfortunately experiencing as a state. So this hui's work is more important now than ever. And I think the policy statements in this resolution help point to the scale of work that is needed. And just so grateful for the opportunity to talk about this with you all and to ensure that we start moving forward as a state in a coordinated way as this hui is attempting to do and as the state agencies are doing with us to support reforestation at scale across the state. Mahalo.
Thank you. We also have on Zoom, Pierce Young.
Hi, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. I just wanted to also submit my testimony in support of this resolution. You know, I was born and raised in Hawaii, and I've done some extensive traveling across the state. And protecting our green spaces and reforestation is so critical to having healthy communities. And I've just been so grateful whenever I've gone to other states at the people that I've met in green spaces and communities, and it just speaks volumes about how much the city and state cares about the place that it's in when you walk there and it's clear that they take care of their green spaces. So just from a purely personal perspective, I wanted to add my support for this bill and just say how important it is that we start now and not wait till our green spaces are degrading before we try and save them. Just the ability for us to have this impact now rather than later will be huge. So I really appreciate the opportunity to speak here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, I have also in support Johnny May Perry, Hannah Leziak, and Charla Teves. Anyone else?
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Hannah Leziak, and I did submit written testimony, so apologies for the surprise. But I am testifying as an individual in strong support of this resolution. But I will note that I also am a member of the Care for Ainanao Coalition and the Ocean Legislative Task Force. And one of the things that I've learned through working with those groups is that the health of our forests affects every single aspect of our environment and ultimately the well-being of our communities. And then in the face of environmental pressures, especially as we saw with the recent storms and flooding, we have to take proactive action to protect our natural systems so that they can withstand future impacts. This measure highlights the importance of investing in reforestation to strengthen climate resilience for the long term. I want to thank you for the opportunity to testify and for hearing this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to testify on this? Just state your name, please.
Hi, my name is Malka Gibson, and I submitted my written testimony as well. Aloha Chair Hashem, Vice Chair Morikawa, and members of the Water and Land Committee. My name is Malka. As I stated, I'm a resident of Kaneohe, and I'm here in strong support of HCR 61. When I was in sixth grade, I went on a huaka'i to Hawaii Island to plant koa trees, and it was my first real exposure to reforestation. That experience stayed with me, and it taught me that caring for our forests is something we all have a role in, and that restoring Aina is both a responsibility and a privilege. In just the past few weeks, we've witnessed these Kona low storms bring intense rainfall and flooding across our islands. These events were a powerful reminder that healthy forests are critical natural infrastructure. They absorb water, reduce runoff, and help protect our communities. As we begin to implement the Green Fee, we must invest with intention. The Green Fee Advisory Council identified reforestation and watershed protection as top priorities, and HCR 61 helps ensure we are ready by strengthening nursery capacity, seed supply, workforce, and support for landowners. If we restore our forests, they will sustain us, protecting our water, our communities, and our future. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, see no other testifiers. Any questions, members?
Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
Dylan R, please. Thanks for being here. Your testimony, you mentioned modern facilities and upgrade in management efficiencies, and I was just curious, what
What
how
we're
does
thinking.
that look like? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Well, currently our state production and rare plant nurseries, we haven't invested much in those nurseries for many years, and they're in need of a big boost of investment to I learned recently one of the most dangerous chemicals you can use in your nursery is your water source. So we have to be really careful about what kind of water we're using in our nurseries, and so there are some upgrades needed in our nurseries to make sure we're filtering and treating our water properly. So that is one particular reference. But capacity-wise, we don't have any real civil servant positions that are horticulturalists and working in our nurseries. Our nurseries are sort of understaffed, and I like to use the analogy just like baby children. Our baby plants can't be left alone for too long. It is a very laborious task to put together 100 or 200,000 propagated plants. And so we really need to think carefully and critically about what kind of labor is required to bring our existing nursery infrastructure to sort of a more state-of-the-art modern situation. So that's what that is about in my testimony.
Go ahead.
You know, on your staffing, would you be able to like partner with maybe high schools or something?
I think that would, to those who are interested in seeing how seeds go from a small seedling and propagated, it is an art form, and those who are interested would love to be part of that process. It's a really fascinating.
So have you had communication with DOE or anything?
Not DOE. I will say that we're working a little bit with the Palama Nui campus to develop some opportunities for training for those in the community college.
Last question, Vice Chair. I know we mentioned Hawaii Island. Is that the island of the greatest need, and would you comment on maybe the needs of the other islands as well?
I can try. Yeah, every island, as we all know, is different, and the opportunities in the forests and the capacities change at each island. I think there is an enormous amount of opportunity on Hawaii Island, given the land, the volume of land, and how much forest reserve exists there, as well as the amount of ranching and ranchers that are interested in reforesting. But I would say every single island has a need for plants and investment in existing forests, preventing forest degradation and expanding forest cover. So.
Sure, last question, I promise. You know, with what we've experienced in Wailoa North Shore, I mean, if we could rewind, would proper forestation have changed the outcome or affected or improved it? Would you say?
I mean, I would say improvement, I mean, I will say even native forests will burn, right? So there's no guarantees that the types of climatic events that we're seeing won't continue and we won't feel effects. But certainly having intact native forest and expanded forest cover reduces the potential for catastrophic events and increases resilience for fire, storms, even disease. You know, having a healthy forest that has diverse age classes and is, you know, diverse species creates resilience.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Any other questions? Okay, members, let's move on. We are on HCR 136, HR 128. Urging the County of Maui to adopt ordinance that establish wildland urban interface safety standard for plantation towns and other high-risk communities, taking into account the County of Kauai's ordinance relating to the Plantation Camp District wildfire and wildland urban interface. Is there anyone in the room that would like to testify on this? I have no one registered to testify. So no one to ask questions to members. Let's move on to HCR 185, HR 175, urging the county planning and permitting agencies to deny all permit applications related to the construction, expansion, or use of warehouses by United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement for the purpose of detaining individuals facing deportation. First up, we have this person, Chris Caulfield.
Good morning, chairs, committee members. Chris Caulfield. On this particular measure, I'm speaking as the president of IMUA Alliance. We're in support of this resolution. You're all very familiar with what's happening with immigration policy across the nation and how that's causing a whole lot of disruption for migrant communities. Our organization works with survivors of sexual exploitation, gender violence, many of whom in Hawaii are migrants. So we work with a lot of migrant survivors who've been heavily impacted or could potentially be heavily impacted by the immigration crackdown. So we support this resolution. We would note that there's examples from the continent of other states that have taken action. Just for example, New Jersey's enacted a law prohibiting both private and public facilities from entering into contracts with ICE to detain immigrants. Illinois did something similar. New Mexico just passed legislation banning local governments from contracting with ICE for immigration detention. And then there's some local municipalities like Seattle that have done similar things, enacting moratoriums about detention facilities. So we wouldn't be the first state in the country to do this. This is something that other states are looking at as well. And we hope you'll move this measure forward to continue the conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Also in support, we have Mike Boliu, not present. Anyone else wanting to testify on this measure? Seeing no other testifiers, any questions, members?
Question.
Go ahead.
I guess you're the only one I can ask a question to. Thank you for being here. Do you have any awareness of the numbers and the need for such a facility here in Hawaii?
So just to be clear again, we oppose the construction of a detention facility for
Understood.
immigrants, but I'm not aware of what the numbers would be from the ICE side of things. I can tell you that I have heard conversations it's been suggested to me that ICE has had conversations with people about trying to identify a place that they can purchase for the establishment of a detention facility here. I can't verify that. It's something that's been suggested to me by other immigration advocates. They've been looking in the real estate market for something along the lines of a warehouse that they could turn into a detention facility, but I'm not sure what the size that they're looking at is now.
So like you said, that's unverified, unsubstantiated fact. It's kind of hearsay at this point.
I would say the resolution is intended to be a protective measure because we've seen that this is something that's happened on the continent where ICE is certainly.
I'm talking about what you had just mentioned as part of your answer to me.
Sure.
So do you know what is the current facility or what is currently done for anyone that's detained?
Yeah, so I want to be really clear about this. I'm not an expert in immigration policy. I know that I can speak to the survivors that we work with. We have had survivors who have been detained by ICE and that's disrupted some of the cases that we've been working on and trying to facilitate cases against exploitation. And they've been detained in facilities. Sometimes, to be honest with you, we're not exactly sure where they've been detained. Some of them have been detained, we understand, in federal facilities locally. Some of them have been taken away from Hawaii. And that's certainly been disruptive in terms of trying to make cases against exploitation, because when we lose access to our survivors, essentially the cases disappear.
So even though you had direct contact with these individuals that have been affected, you're not sure what kind of facilities they were?
Yeah, so let me kind of, when ICE detains the migrant survivors that we've been working with in terms of trying to make cases for exploitation, either as material witnesses or survivors, we lose all contact with them. And unfortunately, all the work that we've done in terms of trying to provide trauma-informed care, wraparound services, or the legal framework that we've been trying to provide in order to buttress those cases essentially stops. And unfortunately, I think that's something that a lot of service providers have been experiencing across the country in terms of working with migrant populations, is when they are detained by ICE, a lot of the support services that they would be receiving and a lot of the, from a case management perspective, a lot of that simply stops cold. And it's very challenging even to track the survivors, much less continue to find a way to provide them services while they're detained.
Yeah, that would be concerning. Thank you for your testimony. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Chair,
Any more questions?
can I ask a question?
Sure.
Chris Clifford? I got a question. So you mentioned that ICE detained people and they took them to the mainland. If we don't allow the federal government to have detention centers and they are forced to transfer people to the mainland, which is worse?
I mean, I think that's a policy call. I think what, if I understand you correctly, you're asking whether or not from a service provider perspective, we might have greater access if there was a detention facility here?
Yes, if we had a detention facility here, then they could detain the people here. Versus all of a sudden, they're picked up by ICE and they're transported to the mainland. And now they're separated from their family and everybody, right? So, I mean, I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah, I understand the.
Which is worse? Shall we have the facility here and build the facility so they can stay here? Or force the situation where they gotta be flown to the mainland?
So I would say two things. One, I think the concern would be that if there was a facility that was established here, it might incentivize detainment locally, more heavily so than we see currently. And the other thing that I think I would say is that, at least from the cases that I've been working on and the migrant survivors that I've worked with, they're very quickly subject to deportation, so it really doesn't matter where that they're gonna be held. As soon as they're detained, like I said, the access to services from our organization, some of our peer organizations, simply ceases. And the deportation process can be very quick. So I mean, just to be kind of honest with you, talk to even law enforcement who've been working on some of these cases who were not aware before some survivors were detained and then deported. So I would even say, even at the law enforcement level, communication seems to be problematic. So I think that from a survivor's perspective or from a trauma-informed perspective, the concern is that the immigration crackdowns themselves are leading to quick deportations, which is not amplifying our ability to handle exploitation in the state.
Can I ask a follow-up question,
Yeah, go ahead.
Chair? So as a civilian who works with service providers, is it fair to say that just reading the news and speaking to service providers that it's ICE's strategy to move people quickly out of their communities so that they don't have access to families, to legal support, all of these things, that it's part of their strategy? So to build an ICE facility here will just become another destination to remove people from the continent here so that they're further away from their own communities.
And that's certainly something that could happen, and I would say there's legislation moving through the legislature that I think is really important that would help to provide legal services to migrants upon their detention. I think that's something that would be very critical for ensuring that the survivor population has access to some services. And I think just to be kind of blunt about it, the climate of fear is something that's been really detrimental to service providers who work in the exploitation gender violence area, because people are very scared to come forward about what's happening to them in their communities. They're very scared to report, they're very scared to call us because they're worried that their information is gonna be passed along to law enforcement and they're gonna be deported. So even just, I mean, I would, just from a semiotic or a symbolic standpoint, if we have a detention facility here, I think that people are gonna be even more afraid that if they report, that they're gonna be detained by ICE and lose access to any of the support services that they may be receiving now.
Thank you, members. Let's move on to HCR 155 and HR 147, supporting the findings and recommendations of the Hawaii Water Safety Coalition's Hawaii Water Safety Plan. First up is the Department of Education. Who said they were going to be here, but they are not. With comments. Allison Schaefer's.
Aloha. I'm a bereaved parent volunteer with the Hawaii Water Safety Coalition, which is now a program of the Hawaiian Lifeguard Association, and I was the lead writer of the Hawaii Water Safety Plan. I strongly support these resolutions. The plan was developed by a statewide coalition of more than 200 partners. Government agencies were part of that process, including the Department of Health and the Department of Education, lifeguards, first responders, medical professionals, researchers, nonprofits, and cultural leaders. I donated my professional writing and project management skills to turn their expertise and data into a clear, actionable, and culturally grounded plan. Hawaii is only the second state in the nation with a comprehensive statewide water safety plan. This work is urgent, which is why I'm here. Hawaii has the second highest drowning rate in the country. Drowning is the leading cause of death for Hawaii's children ages 1 to 15 and the leading injury-related killer of our visitors. The economic cost is staggering. According to the CDC's calculation, each drowning in Hawaii cost approximately $10 million, including in terms of rescue, medical, and statistical value of lives. Between 2019 and 2023, we had 475 drowning deaths, so that would be a cost of nearly $4.75 billion. And that's before accounting for the lifelong costs of non-fatal drownings, which aren't even included in that calculation. I am here because the human costs are unbearable and prevention matters. In 2004, my 5-year-old daughter Charlotte drowned in a flooded detention pond. Her death was preventable. These resolutions affirm drowning as a preventable public health crisis, advance equity, reduce long-term costs, and save lives. Legislative support is essential, and mahalo for your leadership.
Thank you. Next up, we have the Kirsten Hermstead, Executive Director, Hawaiian Lifeguard Association.
Hi, aloha, Chair, Vice Chairs, and the committee members. My name is Kirsten Hermstead. I am the Executive Director of the Hawaiian Lifeguard Association and the coordinator for the Hawaii Water Safety Coalition. So we've done a lot of work on the water safety plan, and thanks to Allison, it is an incredible document, and all of us here in Hawaii should be very proud of it. I stand on my written testimony, but I would like to add that in the back of that plan, there are a long list of recommendations of what we need to do to prevent drowning and aquatic injuries here in Hawaii. And what the coalition is doing is we've put together working groups to identify what the top priorities are in those recommendations and work on them and start working on them. And part of that is us being here today and getting that plan recognized. That is one of the recommendations in the plan. One of the other recommendations in the plan was getting recognition for lifeguards as first responders, and all of us who are here testifying in front of you here today just were 5 minutes ago upstairs testifying regarding that. So the coalition is working actively year after year to implement those recommendations in that plan. And your recognition would make a lot of our work much more possible and fundable through grants and other things. So please, we would love to have your support and happy to answer questions if need be. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have from Kauai, David Kalani Veara. I did not know your name was David. After the many years I worked with you.
Yeah, thank you. Aloha Chair and members of this committee. My name is Kalani Vieira. I'm the Operation Chief of the Kauai Ocean Safety Bureau, and I'm also the President of the Hawaiian Lifeguard Association. I've been serving our community as a lifeguard for over 30 years now. Over the course of my career, I have responded to countless water emergencies, many of which were preventable. I've seen families devastated by drownings and near drownings that could have been avoided with better education, awareness, and preparation. The Hawaii Water Safety Plan, which I have here and I can leave it with you guys for review, would bring together education, prevention, and response into a unified strategy. It would help ensure that our keiki learns water safety early visitors understand the risks of our ocean and that our communities have the tools to prevent emergencies before they happen. Enjoying time in and around the water is a big part of our culture and in our daily lives. It's all our responsibility, our kuleana, to protect our communities, our keiki, and all who enters our waters. I humbly ask your support in this measure. Thank you very much. And
Thank
I'll
you.
leave this with you guys.
Thank you, Kalani. Jessamine Town Horner on Zoom.
Yes, aloha. Thank you for hearing this resolution. My name is Jessamy Town Horner. I'm the co-founder of the Hawaii Water Safety Coalition, the executive editor of the Hawaii Water Safety Plan, along with Allison as the lead writer and also Sarah Fairchild. I'm also speaking as mainly a bereaved family member and an advocate in this space for almost 10 years. I share in my testimony my family's story. I lost Mark and Mina, my husband and youngest daughter, at the Makapu tide pools in 2016, and I truly believe they would be alive today had there been proper interagency coordination in the case of an extreme storm event offshore. So over the last almost 10 years, I've done everything I can to ensure that other family members do not go through what I have, and we have made some amazing momentum. I wanted to highlight that we are at a pivot point in this advocacy. The resolution is the next step of implementing policy level support for state and county leadership to collaborate with the coalition and with each other on implementing these core initiatives and to work towards budgeting for them eventually or within their existing departments. For instance, I share in my testimony that I worked for almost a year at the Department of Health EMS Injury Prevention System branch, where I was able to initiate many of these initiatives, including that there is a full-time hire now in charge of drowning and aquatic injury prevention, which is a big win. We also have a statewide campaign in the works. So I know that having someone in place does make a difference, but we have a lot more to do. I did find it was hard to make statewide change from within that lower level position. We need to have that top-down mandate so that the department heads are going to take an active look at how to move things forward. For instance, within that branch, the injury prevention manager position has been vacant for many years, and I'm not sure that they're actively recruiting for it, and that's critical to continue to get this work done and to advocate for budgeting for drowning prevention. Currently, funds are allocated in that department from the trauma funds where EMS needs are prioritized, and even that budgeting category is not adequate for EMS. So there needs to be a budgeting solution. We know that injury prevention works. And the good news is we are well positioned to move forward with the new initiatives underway, lots of community support and national recognition for our efforts. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. There are numerous other individuals in support, but is there anyone in the room that wants to testify on this? Go ahead, come up, state your name.
Hi, my name is Aubrey Jones Owens, and thank you so much for your time today. I just want to say that I'm a lifeguard here in Hawaii, and I see what can be done as we come together for a community and a state to help support this. Yes, it's great that we have lifeguards that are on the beach and doing our, preventable actions, but we could come together as a community to make changes for Hawaii to protect our kids, and we can make a change by stopping that the leading cause of death for kids in Hawaii ages 1 through 15 is drowning. And this is a great step forward, and I would appreciate your support in that. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else want to testify? No, don't be shy. But I see you all are junior lifeguards. Thank you for being here. Yes, go on.
They both just testified regarding the first responder bill, and
Ah.
we are just so proud of them as young people and their mother for bringing them here, and they both are junior lifeguards. They deserve
Yes, I'm
a
very
lot of
familiar
credit for
with
their
that.
service to our community and being willing to speak out. So thank you for giving
Thank
them
you
all
for being here. Okay, anybody else? Okay, members, any questions?
Just one question for you, Allison. Thank you for sharing your life with us. How do I get a copy of that plan?
You need one, Allison?
I have one right here.
Yours, you should have gotten one last
I think I saw it.
session, yeah, but I have a copy as well.
That was my question. Thank you, Chair.
I hope you'll take it back to your.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Kalani, I have a question.
Sure.
Thank you for still working with water safety on Kauai. You have your actor. How is that going?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys watch it, but episode 8 on Chief of War.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I got sacrificed right off the bat, so I don't know if they're gonna be calling me back again for the next season, but it was a great opportunity and a great experience to work on this wonderful film.
Thank you, and thank you for all you do for water
Which character did you play?
Actually, I didn't have a name because I asked the producers. I was playing a spiritual priest of the king of Oahu. And through all the records that they went through, they couldn't find the spiritual priest's real name. So they named it Kalani.
Yeah, right. Thank you for being here.
So, yeah, there was no name. I just played the spiritual priest of the king of Oahu.
But thank
This
you
is
for
very
being
relevant
here.
to the result.
Yeah, sorry.
Right, thank you.
Alrighty. Okay, let's move on, members. We are now on HCR 65, HR 62, requesting the DOT and DLNR to coordinate the transfer of small boat harbors back to the Department of Transportation and to establish a management team to develop transition plans. First up, we have, oh my gosh, because I have so much on the last one. Hang on, 185. DLNR, come up.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, committee members. Megan Stats, I'm the administrator for the Division of Boating and Ocean Recreation. The department stands on its written testimony offering comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. DOT, Ed Sniffen on Zoom. Is he on Zoom? Okay.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chairs, members of the committee, Ted Lee, Deputy Director for the Department of Transportation. We stand on our written testimony and strong support, and I'm here for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all the people I have registered to testify. Anybody else wanna testify on this measure? No others, members' questions?
I have a question,
Yes.
I guess, for DLNR. Thank you. So at first, when I was reading this, I was a little bit concerned because I always imagined the prime directive of DLNR was more about protecting our natural resources and seeing boat harbors as being a pathway towards a lot potential damage to our environment. Whereas a Department of Transportation, I would imagine their prime directive is making sure goods and people move through space without necessarily that kind of mission of protecting our natural resources.
So the small boat harbors were under the Department of Transportation. It was transferred out for many years. It wasn't until 1991 that it got transferred into the Department of Land and Natural Resources, along with 12 other mandates. And as our testimony states, we feel that it's better for us to be doing the ocean recreation management, the boating education and safety, which also kind of ties into drownings. We do have boating accidents where people do drown. I mean, accidents and things like that happen. Ensuring commercial operations are operating safely on the ocean waters. User conflicts, that was where we feel for DLNR that we're better served that way.
dealing with our ramps where our recreational boaters are launching on a regular basis. DOT has, was operating it for many years prior to DLNR. We feel that that could be a possibility as well moving forward.
But I'm sorry, I wasn't able to go back to the record to look at the legislative history about why it was transferred. And, this committee has seen other bills and resos come forward, kind of describing harbors that were built that created a hardening and now damage to the private property of homeowners or businesses along the shoreline. And I'm wondering, was that part of the reason why it was moved, so that there was a greater awareness of the impact some of these smaller boat harbors might have on the environment? Do you know what I mean?
Honestly, I wasn't here in 91, I came over in 95. That was when I first started at boating. So I don't have any of the historical knowledge. I don't know if Tammy has any of that either.
I guess, can you assure me, is there any assurances that moving forward, if this transfer does happen, that there'll be a great, as much awareness or greater awareness of protecting our natural resources, as we move forward?
Representative, thank you. That was a good question. For us, I mean, our purview will be what we do best, and that is to project delivery on our infrastructure. I think conversations in the past, maybe beginning a year ago, was that the policy decisions and all of the recreation and the sustainability and, as you say, the resilience would be with Department of Land and Natural Resources. And that for us, I think just looking at the organizational chart and how I think the current staffing is, I mean, we have some ideas on how we can deliver projects to improve the infrastructure.
Okay, the only positive thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, it does appear that the Department of Transportation projects are better funded than DLNR projects. Is that part of the reason for the transfer? It just feels like money from both the executive branch and the legislative branch seems to flow more fluidly to the Department of Transportation than DLNR for capital improvement projects.
Well, I would say, go ahead, Tammy.
Sorry, no, go ahead, you go ahead.
Well, I think that we have gotten a lot of capital improvement project funds throughout the years. We have done hundreds of millions of dollars of capital improvement projects. We do our best. When it was transferred, there was, $300 million in deferred maintenance. We didn't have a lot of the staffing that came over, plus all of the mandates that we also have that we're not able to keep up with, right? So, I mean, I would say we do get it, but DLNR only gets a very small percentage when it comes to capital improvement projects and monies from the legislature. So
compared to the Department of Transportation, which is why I do see this as a positive move for that reason. Again, my only concern is the environmental impact that might. Okay, but you'll keep an eye on them, right?
Questions? Yeah, she needs to go ahead.
DLNR, thank you. So as far as staffing, would you envision the current DLNR staff to transfer over to DOT as part of this?
I think that's part of the conversation that we've had over the last year, so that's something we still need to figure out. I think the fact that we also have all these other mandates in basically overseeing the ocean from the high water mark 3 miles out and overseeing user conflicts and all the activity that goes on there, we're still gonna need the staff in order to take care of all of that. So I think that's part of the idea in creating this transitional plan. What works for DOT, what works for DLNR, what's best honestly for, right, the Division of Boating and Ocean Recreation and what we're able to provide to our community.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Chair.
Okay, is that all the questions?
I have a question.
Okay,
Wait,
go ahead.
okay.
Go ahead.
I got a question for DOT. A lot of DOT projects there's a federal match, like highways, it's 80-20.
Oh, my question.
Oh. Sorry, I stole the vice chair's question. So there's a lot of, for the Department of Transportation, there's a lot of federal match. If the harbors were under Department of Transportation, would you get a 80-20 match like other projects that you have?
No, generally no. I think, we would continue to have that boating fund, special fund, and any improvements that don't have a nexus to maybe, if it's something where there's a highway road that we can be federal participating, then I think that would maybe we would be able to use federal funds. But for the ramps and anything that is not on the highways, we would be using the boating special fund to do improvements.
Do you get federal matches for your large boat harbors?
For our commercial ports, there is no federal nexus like the FHWA for highways or the FAA for airports. It's all special funds, except recently we've been very aggressive in applying for and being awarded discretionary grants. So Harbors does have federal discretionary grants, but there is no federal formula program for Harbors, the commercial ports.
Can I follow up on that? I know at our boat harbor on Kauai, there was federal money on the breakwater. Is that possibly something that would qualify for federal funding? Any breakwater that goes around the harbor?
Representative, I am not sure, but I will follow up and let you know. I know that for some small boat harbors, there is a transit nexus, and so federal transit administration funds can be used. The one that comes to mind is the Lahaina Boat Harbor Administration Building, and I think it's a pier that we were able to pass through federal transit administration funds to the Department of Land and Natural Resources, but I'm unsure about so I will follow up in the
Right, thank you. I think there is potential there, but that's what this resol will do with that discussion, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, let's move on. We are now on, let me see if I'm on the right place, HCR 174, HR 164, requesting the state auditor to conduct a performance audit of the Hawaii State Building Code Council. First up, we have, oh my goodness, no one says they're gonna be here, but Dags in support. Oh. Okay, Office of the Auditor with comments. Oh, I'm sorry, we do. Ted Kefalis, Grassroots Institute of Hawaii, you are here? No? Okay, he's in support, and then Stephanie Sakamoto in support.
I saw Stephanie.
Okay, seeing that there is no one here to ask questions of, let's move on. HCR 178, HR 168, urging Department of Land and Natural Resources to prioritize issuing a water set aside to the County of Maui through an executive order by the governor to support the management of public trust water resources in East Maui. First up, we have, well, Keith Regan is in support, Dags. Ted Kefalis, Grassroots Institute of Hawaii, who is not here. And Stephanie, wait, am I on the wrong one? I'm on. Lauren Yasaka, DLNR. Not here. Do we have anyone on Zoom? Jonathan, okay, sure. On Zoom?
Sure.
Sure, thank you, sorry about
Sure.
that.
Sounds like show you or rhymes with lawyer.
Show you, okay, thanks.
Aloha Mai Kako, Chair and members, Johnson Lekeke Schroyer. I am the chair of the Ahavai Maui Hikina, or the East Maui Regional Community Board, which is the oversight body for the East Maui Water Authority. I'm offering this testimony as an individual. I would just urge you to pass this resolution. I could go over in great detail the efforts that have been made over the past many years for Maui County at the behest of Maui County voters to take over management of the East Maui irrigation system to better serve all of the entities that benefit from that water, including the private entities and the county. But I won't go over that in detail now. I'll just urge you to let the legislature stand behind the people of Maui who say that the single largest water system on the island should actually be controlled by the people of the island. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Mahalo nui.
Thank you. We also have on Zoom Shay Shan Hodges.
Aloha, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to testify in strong support of this important resolution. My name is Shechan Hodges. I am the former chair of the Maui County Board of Water Supply and co-author of the 2019 Temporary Investigative Report, which studied the feasibility of purchasing and maintaining the EMI water delivery system by the County of Maui. I'm also currently a consultant to the East Maui Water Authority, but I'm testifying on my own behalf. I strongly support HCR 178, HR 168, which urged the DLNR to prioritize issuing a set-aside to the County of Maui through an executive order by the governor to support the management of public water resources in East Maui. A set-aside to the County of Maui for water resources in East Maui advances the County of Maui's directive in managing our public water resources through a public institution in the interest of the public and guided by the purposes of the public trust doctrine. That public trust doctrine is best served by county and state entities and cannot be implemented by a profit-seeking foreign investment fund. Mahipono Holdings is owned entirely by the Canadian Public Sector Pension Investment Board, known as PSP, which is a $214 billion crown corporation that invests the retirement funds of Canadian government employees. Even the union representing PSP's 240,000 member beneficiaries has urged Maui leaders to reject PSP's involvement in a long-term water lease, citing harm caused by PSP's extractive investment practices. And PSP's track record illustrates these risks. In Australia, during a devastating drought and fire season, PSP bought and privatized water infrastructure in the Murray-Darling Basin and became the nation's largest almond producer, a crop notorious for excessive water use. In Toronto, tenants of PSP-owned apartments endured unsafe conditions for years before finally winning a health and repair settlement after a lengthy rent strike. And here in the US, Minnesota's Attorney General secured a $4 million penalty against PSP's Havenbrook Homes for gross neglect that endangered hundreds of families. Here on Maui and throughout the state, corporate control has too often meant deferred maintenance, environmental damage, and disregard for cultural values. Just this month, we have seen the potentially devastating impacts of corporate-owned water infrastructure on the North Shore of Oahu. I strongly urge you to pass HCR 178 and HR 168. And I would also like to note that there are many people in East Maui who may have wanted to testify today but could not due to various other infrastructural issues. I'm not sure if there are still folks without power in Hana, but I do know that as of last Friday, residents of Kenai and Wailuanui still had no Hawaiian Tel service, which impacts their phone and internet access. Luckily, they did not lose their power. Mahalo for your consideration and for all your hard work to serve the needs of our citizens.
Thank you. Anyone else on Zoom? Okay, anyone in the room wanting to testify on this measure? Okay, seeing none, members, questions? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, we have one more, sorry. Gina Young.
Aloha members, thank you for this opportunity to testify. I'm Gina Young. I'm the director of the County of Maui East Maui Water Authority. I want to thank you for taking up this measure today and for all the work that you do. I'd like to let you know that we strongly support this measure. A water set aside to the County of Maui does advance the directive that our voters put forth with the Charter Amendment in 2022. And then I also just want to state it's not a controversial resolution or idea. Back in 2021, when the council was first looking at this idea of the charter amendment and setting up the East Maui Water Authority, DLNR officials informed us that the government would have first consideration in a set aside. And then also, I know you heard some testimony recently at one of your last hearings with the same comments from DLNR. So we hope that you support it and thank you for that.
Thank you, Gina. Okay, Rep. Poipoi, you have a question?
Yes, for Jonathan,
Jonathan?
if you're still there.
Aloha.
Aloha. Thank you for your testimony. I just wanted to
clarify, in your written testimony, you did suggest 2 amendments, and I wanted to make sure that you still support those being incorporated.
Yes, I do, Representative. One was a clarification of the enumeration of public trust uses based on the testimony of the Deputy Attorney General at a previous bill related to this matter. And the second was suggesting that you omit the word water from set aside, since actually it would be some of the real estate assets along with the water that would be set aside to the county, basically the ditch system and the land underlying the ditch system, and any rights and easements that the state currently has be in previous agreements between East Maui Irrigation and the territory or state of Hawaii.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Thank you. Any other
Mahalo.
questions? Okay, no other questions. Let's move on. We're on HCR 179, HR 169, urging the Ahamoku Advisory Committee to follow its adopted rules of practice, fulfill its statutory duties, including complying with the Sunshine Law, conduct a performance review of its executive director, and establish policies to assure consistent standards of administrative and managerial accountability. First up, we have, let's see. Do you have anyone else? Okay, I don't have you on my list, I think, but come on. Come on up. And state your name, please.
Hello, chairs and committee members. My name is Lealoha Rocky Kaluhiva. I am the state chair for the Ahamoku. I brought here minutes from the last, the 3 puvalos that they had, to make up the Ahamoku. And I would like to just read that and I'm gonna give it to you. This puvalo meeting was to provide our Native Hawaiian practitioners a forum to discuss their traditional ahapua'a practices and to facilitate incorporation of this information into core educational systems of Hawaii, as well as integrating these practices into the framework for resource conservation and management in Hawaii. The anticipated outcome of this conference would be consensus toward a structure, including the necessary protocol that would incorporate Native Hawaiian traditional knowledge into a framework for consultation. This consultation would protect natural and cultural resources, protect the cultural integrity of the host culture, and ensure community participation. Discussions centered on existing programs at the time, their successes and challenges, and how the integration of moku councils can assist in community capacity building, improved statutes and ordinance, and framework for community consultation using the Hawaiian perspective and traditional methods. At present time, we are working on writing out our rules and regulations, but I cannot support the way the proposal is written, because the way this proposal is written is bringing us right back into working for the Department of Land and Natural Resources. We are an autonomous organization that represent the people. So I have to, and we are working on it, working with some of our senators. We come out with a plan to write up a plan, rules for you guys to see. So I'm open for questions.
Okay, thank you.
But thank you.
Anyone else wanting to
I
testify?
have minutes, I just made one copy, if you guys want it, from all the previous provalos.
Aloha mai kākou. I am Kawai Kapu o Kalani Hue, and I am one of the original founders of the Ahamoku, along with many other kupuna. And I serve now as a volunteer to bring prayer and spiritual guidance to the movement of the Ahamoku. The Ahamoku was founded on Ike of kupuna. And I want to stand on that Ike of kupuna. It was to bring forth the voices of the kupuna and the knowledge of kupuna to guide the future for our people. It was not to be a state entity or agency in that sense. I think we have enough. We have the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, we have DHHL and other entities. It was kupuna gathering knowledge from their different ahupua'a in an aha a gathering to again bring those voices forward of the people so we could work together and provide the best possible outcome for all of our future. So I oppose and I stand with Kaluhiva, and plus being the spiritual advisor, this is my stand on the Ahamoku, and I thank you all for your time and I thank you for listening. Mahalo kia kua.
Thank you.
And I'm here for any questions.
Anyone else wanting to testify on this measure? See none, members' questions, Rep. Poi, please.
Auntie Rocky?
Yes.
You testified to the Ahamoku being Ahamoku Advisory Committee being autonomous from the DLNR. The Ahamoku Advisory Committee is administratively attached to the DLNR.
Yes.
And is funded through general funds from the legislature to the committee.
Yes, if you read the minutes from all of the Puvalo, it was signed by all of the legislators at that time and all of the other agencies involved.
So being that it receives funds from the state, it's administratively attached to the DLNR. It maintains an office in the DLNR building. Would you still consider that autonomous?
Yes, if you did that, come to our office, come look at it. Have you all seen our office? It's a storeroom in the back of the kitchen. We can fit 3 chairs in there.
Thank you.
And the good part about it has a door, so when kupuna come, they can talk in private.
Yeah, thank you. I did try to send a staff member to the office to look for the records that I requested from the executive director the last time, and unfortunately no one was there. But I think based on how it's set up, it is not autonomous in the sense that it is attached to an agency. So whether we like it or not, it is not autonomous from certain laws that apply to state boards and commissions and committees.
Got it. Okay, so we are not working with we work fine with the Department of Land and Natural Resources. We very good work with them, not for them. We have the support of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, fine, but we're not a state agency. And why is it that we go by the Hawaiian methodology, Hawaiian ruling? I'll give you a for instance. No offense to anybody. You guys have attorney generals. The city got corporate counsels. When you make a decision, let's go see the attorney general. How can we get around? Let's find a loophole. We have no loopholes. We constantly, our commitment is to akua with our kupuna. We are constantly finding pukas with the loopholes because they're going around the laws to find a law to always kick us in the butt to say the truth. We want to incorporate, everybody's talking Hawaiian, this, Hawaiian, that. Do they really understand what's happening? Our people are getting kicked out of everywhere. What we're doing, Ahamoku, is bringing the voices forward about kupuna. Those voices have never been heard before are coming out. And I'll give you another for instance. There was a meeting that consists of the Ka'u Planning Committee. Had we not helped the kupuna from Ka'u get on that planning committee through the process that we had to go through, they were on the agenda for Department of Land and Natural Resources. We helped them to get there. The Ka'u people, not like us, they don't have all of the equipment. And to tell you the truth, my computer is my phone. To get these papers done, I have to send it to somebody. Can you please make these copies to give to let you guys see what minutes I'm talking about? And that's what the capacity we're working in. Big monies. This is Ahamoku. You want it, come and get it. Check what's going back to the DLNR. We're getting repair our executive director. She does 622 apua by herself. I'm a volunteer, and we're sitting now. We're making rules. We're working very good with our senators. We complied with what they wanted us to do. We're making rulings, but not the same rules as the DLNR.
So the AMAC is, according to the statute, required to provide reports to the legislature, which is, I think, one of the main tools we have to review annually to be able to justify continuing to fund the Ahamoku. So there is a significant absence of reports submitted to the legislature. So I'm wondering if the Ahamoku reviews reports annually,
I'll give you another
draft reports.
for instance. We've been trying for years now, this is years, to get a meeting going with all of our Moku people together, asking the funding, we have the funding there for us to bring our people here or we go to them. We've never given the funding, how can we have a meeting together?
Well, that would be the responsibility of the executive director to organize
Exactly, and we've been helping her to try to get the money.
for
I could tell you, there's,
years.
yes.
So what is the budget of the Ahamoku?
The budget right now for Ahamoku is $286,000, but look what's put back.
But what
We
is put back?
cannot use it because they don't allow us to use it. We cannot keep begging, can we? I can give you a for instance, Kabai Kapu and I, we went 2 years ago to Kauai. Kauai Council invited us to come because they wanted to know about the Kapai analysis. We paid it out of our pockets. Today, we did not get our reimbursement. It's
So-
2 years ago.
So how much is going back into the budget, going back?
You gotta check on it, we've been doing it.
How does the Ahamoku Advisory Committee develop, approve, and track the budgets?
I have not been tracking it because I'm a volunteer. I don't get paid for nothing except when we get a request from the council. Now, right now, like Kauai, now they're using the Kapa'akai analysis in the decision making. But I'm telling you, we're not there to track monies. That's not our style. But the point is, we're working on it right now because you guys are requesting it. So we're tracking money. We don't get to use our monies.
So what is the salary of the executive director in the budget, and how does the Ahamoku Advisory Committee approve the salary?
When I first became your Ahamoku, when I first started, I had no idea, no dream that I would ever be the Ahamoku chair for anything. I went to meetings with my husband. My husband was a pure Hawaiian. Was meeting with Uncle, the chair at the time was Les Kulaloya. And he asked the question to DLNR, what is your salary for this position, for the position for the DLNR? Why can't our Hawaiians get the same kind of salary? Uncle Les said, I was there at the meeting, because I went with my husband. He said, if the DLNR reps is getting that salary, why not give the Hawaiian the same thing? So that committee before me set the salary for the Ahamoku chair at the time. And she worked hard for her money. Anyone in this room, tell me if you're gonna write for 622 Ahapo'a, 46 Moku for yourself, because I'm there to volunteer verbally and not no written stuff. I'm not getting paid for it.
In the 2025 report, I believe it was around 7 to 10 provided testimonies for the 2025 year. But I wasn't able to find a record of the committee actually approving the report.
For the 2025 year, we gave our executive director, I'll tell you why. But she was in hospice with her husband, and her daughter had just got a stroke. Her husband has recently died Christmas. He died this past Christmas. Her daughter is still surviving from a stroke she goes home and has to help her daughter to get into the shower. We, the whole Moku from the whole state of Hawaii, gave her a break for that year. Why are they keep throwing stones at that poor woman?
I think this is, that's a really unfortunate situation that I was unaware of, but there's still some just accountability things that have persisted for the past decade that I think are, just trying to improve the clarity around it.
Good point.
Like
You said
requiring the
improve.
Sunshine Law.
We're gonna improve it.
Yeah, so actually the rules of practice.
I don't think we broke any sunshine law. Consultations is not, we have not having meetings. Hawaiian methodologies, they're asking for our consultation, we're consulting with them.
Yeah, advisory committees of the state are required to follow the Sunshine Law unless I believe you're explicitly exempted.
We're not a state entity.
You are, we can agree to disagree, but it is.
So we get along with DLNR.
It is a part of the state and an advisory committee to the state. Okay, well, I do believe the committee is required to follow the Sunshine Law.
So we're working on it.
And the rules of practice. And Yeah, I guess I can leave it there.
But thank you for that attention, but being that you brought it to light, we are working on it. We have been speaking with some of our senators. We'll be working with them on this, and we'll come back to you on it.
Thank you. I look forward to attending a meeting of the AMAC.
Okay,
Okay, Rep. Bellotti has a question.
get us the funding to bring our
Hang on,
AMAC
stay there,
here.
stay there. Oh, we have a
Thank you.
question.
I'm just trying to understand, what senators are you working with?
Pardon me?
What senators are you working with?
Well, we spoke with Senator Richards because he's Hawaiian Affairs, and Senator Chris Lee, who's Land Water. And now we gotta meet with all of, that's the thing, to get our people together. And I'll give you another, for instance, the island of Kauai. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Uncle Tommy Hashimoto. No, he was the representative, the Moku rep, the Po'o for Kauai. They called a meeting one year when he was alive. He came and paid with his own money, spent over $500, brought Auntie Annie with him. Reached Oahu and then they decided to cancel the meeting. He didn't even want to stay because he spent over $500 because he wanted to make it a nice night with Auntie Annie. Taking him back to the airport, seeing tears coming out of that man, that's the hurting part. And that's how we're being treated.
One more question.
One more question. So I hear that there's a desire to have more rules and more but what I want to ask is, has the DLNR ever in really good faith said to you, here's $10,000 to be able to convene, and so that you could get this ball rolling? Have they ever in good faith ever offered that?
Well, of all the chairs, I would tell you the one that treated us well was actually William Aila. When we first got it, he gave us cards that said, Ahamoku. The next chair came and said, you cannot have the cards stored away. I told you I never used it anyway because I never wanted our kupuna to know I'm working. They're thinking I'm working for DLNR, I showed them the card. They don't trust, actually, it's a matter of trust. The state has lost the trust with our people. And we're trying to bring that trust back.
So, okay, one more follow-up question. So that's what I guess I know and I sense and we see from some of the testimony that there is a desire for more structure. But maybe a first step, and in this process as you're talking with the senators, is to have DLNR come to the table and offer up a budget to be used to actually have a convening so that you folks are not out of pocket. Because what this sounds like to me is so much often of what state agencies do. They promise things, they drag their feet with people who are working for the state, and then they ask people to cover expenses, and then they delay in payment. I completely understand your frustration with that. And no kupuna should be having to outsource that kind of money if what you're trying to do is an actual convening. So I think there needs to be work on probably both sides. And is that something that you could do? That's my question. Is that a process that we could initiate?
The funding is there, is letting loose of the funding so we can have these meetings instead of coming out of our pockets. And Limana did order laptops to give to each of the poor for each island. We showed it to Kawaii, can you do this? He had it in his hand, they wanted it back. He said, I don't want to touch it. She had to give it all back. Funding we cannot use,
Yeah, I mean, and that's not right either. So I hear you, Auntie. Can I just ask one more question? Is there anyone from the Department of Land and Natural Resources here to be able to tell us how they're treating these individuals who are administratively attached to them? Maybe we need to have them come forward and explain themselves.
It's very challenging, it's very hard. We're volunteers, we're not getting paid. I'm on a set budget, it's kind of hard. We need to be reimbursed.
Okay. Thank you, Auntie. Thank you.
A quick follow-up based on that questioning. From my understanding, talking with the department, it is not so much that they are withholding funds than that the executive director maybe does not know how to access the funds. And so that I can't speak for past administrations, but with this administration of the department, that has been my understanding, that they have not properly accessed the funds. And I think one of those things is that it's kind of questionable about if the committee doesn't actually approve a budget, should they be expensing funds if they don't have a budget that the committee actually approved? So I think that's one of the questions around the budget. And I will follow up with DLNR to try and get them here for the next hearing. Sorry, not a question, sorry.
I know,
Sorry.
to share how Hawaiian Affairs can address that.
Hawaii's really in a Kako thing. Kako is working together.
Yes.
DLNR is, that to talk with us.
That's why we have this
And
resolution.
then people are just trying to find fault after fault after fault for our executive director. I think she's done a terrific job.
Yeah, I know. Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay,
One question in, Chair.
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
You know, I respect your knowledge and what you bring, and my question is, we all getting old, yeah?
I'm
do you have,
82.
do you have like, or the next generation
Yes,
coming up?
yes. Right now, the Kaneohe Bay, we have sort of like our own authority. I have my son that's on the Kaneohe Bay Regional Council.
That's great.
I have another son that comes with me now. Speak only when spoken to. It comes with me to the Ahamoko meeting.
Okay, I just wanted
Hawaiians,
to know. Yeah, thank you.
It's a genealogical thing.
Sure, sure.
Passed down. Right now, we plan for 7 generations ahead of us. We're really trying to pass the baton down. Even with our executive director, we're looking into that.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you, we have to move on, we're
Thank you,
running
thank
out
you,
of
Chair.
time here. Okay, well, let's move on to HCR 91, HR 83. First up, we have DOFA. Heather? She's not here.
Yes, I'm here on Zoom.
Okay.
Okay, aloha mai kako. Heather McMillan, Urban and Community Forester with DLNR DOFA. We are in strong support of this measure. I'm happy to answer any questions, provide detail, but very enthusiastic. Thank you.
Thank you. DOE, Keith Hayashi. I don't think he's here, but he said he would be. Chris Caulfield.
Switching hats. Hello, I'm Chris Caulfield. I'm the Policy and Advocacy Associate for the Hawaii Public Health Institute. We're in support of this resolution. It's getting really hot out there, and as any of you know who've stepped on concrete in your bare feet, it can be very, very painful. Well, on a sunny day, an asphalt playground can reach 150 degrees Fahrenheit according to some studies. Trees can actually reduce temperatures by 20 to 40 degrees. They can have a significant cooling effect on our outdoor environments, particularly where our keiki are. On classrooms, by the way, they can have an impact that goes up to 10 degrees, cooling impact of up to 10 degrees. There's this widely cited 2018 study from the National Bureau of Economic Research. They analyzed 10 million US students and found that for every 1 degree Fahrenheit increase in school year temperatures, student learning, you're looking at student growth percentile, decreases by about 1%. So it's like a 1 degree increase above 80 degrees, you're losing 1% in student growth percentile. As you know, heat reduces attention, memory, and concentration. And shaded outdoor environments also encourage physical activity because shade reduces heat and stress, provides more thermal comfort, and kids can play outside for longer periods of time without getting heat-related illness. So I'm gonna steal a line from Heather from DLNR, but trees are not just landscaping, they're essential climate infrastructure, and we hope that you will move this measure forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you. No one else is on Zoom or said they'd be here to testify in person. Anyone else wanting to testify on this measure? Seeing none, members, any questions? Let's move on. HCR 103, HR 95, affirming support for the expansion of programs and programs and projects that increase tree canopy coverage. First up, we have DOFA again. Heather, are you still there? Oh, there you are.
Yes, still here. We stand in strong support of this measure. Happy to answer any questions from the committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Caulfield.
Chris Caulfield from the Hawaii Public Health Institute once again, and very quickly, urban areas are experiencing heat islands. Urban areas are several degrees hotter than nearby rural areas. The increase of heat, illness, and energy costs and climate impacts is getting worse, particularly in urban areas. And there's studies that show that a single tree can reduce surface temperatures by 4 to 14 degrees Fahrenheit, which essentially makes trees natural air conditioners. Cities with about 40% tree canopy coverage can be 7 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit cooler overall. Trees can also help to absorb carbon dioxide, reduce energy by shading buildings, improve air quality, and reduce stormwater runoff. So again, they are essential climate infrastructure, and just like the last resolution, we hope that you will move this measure forward as well.
Thank you, Chris. Anyone else want to testify on this measure? Seeing no others, members' questions? Okay, let's move on. We are on HCR 115 HR 107, requesting Office of Planning Sustainable Development in consultation with the Hawaii Community Development Authority to conduct an assessment of projected maximum infrastructure capacity around TODs. First up, we have Mary Alice Evans, or her designee.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Diana Setnes with the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development. OPSD stands on its written testimony offering comments, and I am available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. We have no one else here listed to testify. Anyone else wanting to testify on this measure? Seeing none, members, any questions?
Question,
Yes, go ahead.
OPSD, you know, when you say insufficient infrastructure capacity, obviously that, you know, is underground, utilities and so forth, but besides the connecting infrastructure to the main, whether it's a water source or sewer plant, would you be able to comment on those major capacities?
I don't have any information in front of me about the specific infrastructure capacity and for certain kinds of infrastructure and in what areas. But we do generally know that we don't have enough capacity to be able to handle the developments that we do want to be able to do in Hawaii.
So saying that, are you saying that we should stop development because we don't have that capacity?
I'm not saying that we should stop development, but we should see where is infrastructure insufficient and be able to direct investments towards those areas. So increasing the capacity of wastewater treatment plants, building more roads, whatever it may be.
Is the appropriate department to bring forth that information to coordinate that kind of planning?
I think we're well suited for this coordination, and in our testimony, we did note that we are currently working with HHFDC and HCDA on plans for a housing suitability map to be able to assess site level constraints and to be able to build, I guess, the roadmap for where are the areas that we can build more, where do we need to have more investments, and just try and accelerate housing production.
So that's an ongoing discussion?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, members, this last resolution, HCR 199, HR 189, is a joint with PBS. So we are here with Chair of PBS. It's requesting the President of the United States to return to the state all recreational facilities on Hawaii public lands that are no longer required for the defense of the United States, including Fort DeRusi and the Halekoa Hotel pursuant to the Hawaii Admissions Act and as further required by public law. First up, we have OHA. Thank you for being here.
Aloha mai kako, Inilo Board with the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. OHA stands on a written testimony in support with amendments of HCR 199, HR 189. OHA agrees that lands that no longer serve a defense purpose and are instead used for recreation are surplus and should be returned to the state of Hawaii under Public Law 88-233 and added to the Public Land Trust for the benefit of Native Hawaiians and the general public. While an inventory and assessment of the fair market value of lands currently held by the U.S. military is important for both state and OHA, the Public Land Trust Working Group cannot support tasks beyond its scope of work set in law, which is the Public Land Trust lands currently held by the state. Another body with its own funding should be established to complete this important task.
Okay, we have Melanie Aduha, Environmental Caucus of the Democratic Party in support but not present. We have someone on Zoom? No one on Zoom. Is there anyone else wanting to testify on this measure? Seeing no other testifiers, members' questions.
Question, OHA, please. I'm not sure if you're able to answer this question, but you know, this resolution directs the President of the United States. Just wondering if you're aware of the process of how it would happen, if it's solely with the President or is it Congress and quote, federal government branch that is responsible for this?
So we addressed this in our written testimony, but didn't highlight in ours. But basically, in the existing Public Law 88-233, it is actually the Administrator of General Services who makes the determination of what is surplus lands, and then that's the administrative process for how federal lands would return to a state. So there is an existing mechanism, so we do also recommend that instead of the president, we specify what's already in statute, which is the Administrator of General Services.
Sorry, I never read you.
That's okay.
Any other questions? Yeah, Rep. Ichiana.
Orlin, since you're the only one here, I wanted to get a better understanding of how that, to follow up on Rep. Shimizu's question, how that process works.
That's a great question. I'm not quite sure myself either personally. I can get back to you with that information on the conveyance. But it's my understanding that through that law, they would identify the surplus lands and then return that to the state.
And then would it be returned to a particular state agency?
I think just because these are lands, I think it would be returned to the state and then it would be up to the state to figure out which would be the appropriate agency to handle that administratively. So I would imagine that it would probably go to DLNR as our land agency, but I can get back to you with that for sure.
Okay. And then I guess I would just be concerned because it doesn't just talk about recreational lands, but former lands that were used by the military, and I'm not sure if there might be existing environmental conditions that would need to be remediated. And would the cost then for the remediation be covered by the state or by the federal government?
That's a great question. I'm not sure as well on that, but I think that would probably be something that would be negotiated in that process of the federal government returning those lands.
Okay, and then one last question.
Go ahead.
The resolution asks or encourages the Attorney General to pursue litigation for return of these lands. I don't know, is that something that OHA has taken a look at?
I do not believe that we've taken a look at that part. We're just more just of the sense that lands that are no longer needed by the federal government, that are former government and crown lands of the Hawaiian Kingdom that were taken without the consent of the Hawaiian people. It's part of our mandate to keep that corpus as intact as possible, and so if there's any opportunity for those lands to return to the state and potentially either be part of the public land trust revenue that would go towards OHA or be administered by OHA, we would be in support of that.
Understood. Thank you, Chair.
I have a question. I'm just wondering if you guys are the organization that would lead in something like this.
So we are identified as a receptacle for reparations for Native Hawaiians. And I think we would be in tandem. I mean, currently right now with the negotiations happening between the state and the military about Pohakuloa and other military lands, we are named in the National Defense Authorization Act as one of the Native Hawaiian organizations that the federal government should be consulting with. So we would be part of that process. I don't think we would be the sole agency part of that process. It would probably be in tandem again with DLNR. But yeah, we would be as a part as these are lands from the
I just see that this is a bigger issue that we really need to address moving forward, but with a better plan. I'm just wondering if your agency would be able to help with that in the future.
Yes, we would definitely be willing to assist on this issue as it's, again, is very important to us as well.
Thank you. Kalani?
If the Public Land Trust Working Group was fully filled, would the request for that group to be the one to agendize and request legislative funding for a comprehensive independent appraisal be the appropriate group to start to do that?
I'm not quite sure, just because the scope of the Land Trust Working Group is on what already is within the state's inventory of public lands.
And this is outside of the state?
The
Okay.
scope, yeah, that's within law. I think if that was amended within the statute and again, the Public Land Trust Working Group received proportional funding for that, that would be a possibility, but just currently that's not part of the group's mandate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So given how incomplete this resolution may be, how important is it to OHA if you are, as Vice Chair offered to be the lead, how important is it that you get a clear indication from the legislature that we support this?
I mean, I think that, again, we'll support what has already been put into law on the federal side of we are one of the Native Hawaiian organizations that this federal government needs to be negotiating with, that we need to have meaningful consultation with. That's already part of state law, is part of the process, again, you know, through the Board of Land and Natural Resources when they're doing environmental impact statements. That's a really important process. So I think that would just be reaffirming the fact that we are, you know, are supposed to be part of the process. It's within state law that Native Hawaiian and cultural interests need to be upheld to the highest degree possible.
Thank you. Chair?
Is there, I don't know how to ask this. Is there any guarantee that the land will come back to the state? Because like Kalailoa went to Hunt and the housing development, former, where's that, by Pearl Harbor, went to a private developer. Is there, I mean, what happened there?
I'm not as well versed on that as I think that happened before I was born. Apologies.
But it happened after the Emissions Act, right?
Yes,
So-
apologies on that. But I mean, I think that again would be something that in the process of if the federal government was willing to be returning these lands to the state of Hawaii, I imagine that that would be something within that negotiating process and those discussions of how that would look like. And again, if as the state receives those lands, figuring out what would be the most appropriate way to administer them.
I have one more. Knowing that the benefits of the federal government to Hawaii in other areas, transportation, healthcare, food security, and all of that they fund to the state of Hawaii. Would you feel that this might affect that collaboration?
So we do acknowledge in our testimony that you know, we don't want it potentially with the current political situation that we have with the federal government, we don't want to inflame any relationships. You know, we do want to continue to have a strong partnership. You know, OHA has had a strong partnership in the federal government, again, as the Native Hawaiian organization. So that is something that we are concerned about and we want to consider as we work through these negotiations. That's why we say instead of the president, you know, the administrator. So we do want to maintain that strong partnership and, you know,
Okay, thank you very much for that. Any other questions, members? Okay,
Good job.
Thank you.
we're in recess.
Yeah, you're the only one.
Okay, we're opening up for decision making on our 10 o'clock water land agenda. First up, we have HCR 13 HR 15. My recommendation would be to take DLNR's amendments to move DOE as the lead And the next committee can determine whether the education can do it or not. So amendment. Any questions, comments? Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Vote please.
members, we're voting on HCR 13, HR 15 concurrently. Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendment. The chair and vice chair vote aye. Representative Bellotti.
Aye.
Representative Ichiyama.
Aye.
Representative Iwamoto.
Aye.
Representative Poipoi.
Aye.
Representative Woodson is excused. Representative Shimizu. Representative Souza.
Aye.
Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. Now we're on HCR 61. My recommendation is to pass as is. Any comments or questions? Seeing none?
Okay, members, we're voting on HCR 61. Chair's recommendation is to pass unamended. Noting the presence of all members, including Woodson. Is there any reservations or no's? Seeing none, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. Let's move on to HCR 136, HR 128. There were no testimony on these measures, but I'm gonna go ahead and move it through as is. Any questions? Chair for the vote, please.
Okay, members, we're voting on HCR 136 and HR 128. Chair's recommendation is to pass as is. Are there any reservations or no's? Seeing none, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. For HCR 185, HR 175, many support, no amendments needed, so we will pass this as is. Any comments?
Comment, Chair.
Question, yes.
I understand the intent of this resolution and I don't exactly agree with it and it's something I will be voting no.
Sure, thank you. Any other comments or, okay, check for the vote, please.
Okay, members are voting on HCR 185 and HR 175. Chair's recommendation is to pass as is, noting the no vote for Representative Shimizu. Are there any reservations or no's? Seeing none, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. HCR 155, HR 147, recommendation is to pass as is. Any comments? Thank you. Done.
Okay, members are voting on HCR 155 and HR 147 concurrently. Chair's recommendation is to pass unamended. Are there any reservations or no's? Seeing the presence of all members, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Okay, now we will vote on HCR 68, HR 62. My recommendation is to pass as is. Any comments? Yes, Rep. Umaga.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say that I'm gonna be voting with reservations. The part I support is that I do think the Department of Transportation is maybe I can understand why there are advantages and benefits to transferring. However, my concern remains with why it was originally transferred to begin with. What were the problems? I do wanna go back and take a look a little bit, see if I can do any research on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Umaga. Any other comments? Okay.
Okay,
The vote, please.
members, we're voting on HCR 68 and HR 62 concurrently. Chair's recommendation is to pass unamended. Noting the reservations for Representative Iwamoto, is there any other reservations or no's? Seeing none, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. Okay, HCR 174, HR 164. I know the auditors weren't here to ask any questions of, or no one was, but I'm gonna pass this out as is. Any comments? Thank you.
Okay, members are voting on HCR 174 and HR 164 concurrently. Chair's recommendation is to pass unamended. Knowing the presence of all members, are there any reservations or no's? Seeing none, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. We are on HCR 178, HR 168. My recommendation is to take the amendments submitted on testimony by Jonathan BKK Shoyu, sure. And no text, so with amendments.
Okay, members,
Any comments? Okay.
members are voting on HCR 178 and HR 168 concurrently. Noting the presence of all members, are there any reservations or no's? Seeing none, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. Moving on to HCR 179, HR 169. Recommendation to move as is. Any comments? Okay, seeing none, take the vote, please.
Okay, members, we're voting on HCR 179 and HR 169 concurrently. Chair's recommendation is to pass unamended. Noting the presence of all members, are there any reservations or no's? Seeing none, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. We're almost there. HCR 91, HR 83. Recommendation, and this is to pass as is. Any comments? Okay.
Okay, member, we're voting on HCR 91 and HR 83 concurrently. Chair's recommendation is to pass unamended. Noting the presence of all members, are there any reservations or no's? Seeing none, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. For HCR 103 and HR 95, my recommendation is passed with no amendments, as is. Any comments? Okay, seeing none.
Okay, members, we're voting on HCR 103 and HR 95 concurrently. Chair's recommendation is to pass unamended. Knowing the presence of all members, are there any reservations or no's? Seeing none, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. For HCR 115, HR 107, my recommendation is we need amendments, technical, non-substantive amendments for clarity, consistency, and style. Any comments? Okay, seeing none.
Okay, members, we're voting on HCR 115, HR 107 concurrently. Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Noting the presence of all members, are there any reservations or no's? Seeing none, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. For our last measure, HCR 199, HR 189, I want to thank the introducer of this reso because, many of us don't understand or know the history of Hawaii. And during the research of this resolution, I learned a lot. And knowing that, like Oha said, we don't want to inflame our relationship with the federal government. And knowing that the federal government is a big funder of many of our state programs, I'm going to defer this measure. But I believe that this conversation is very valuable for future. So we will continue that. Thank you, members. We are adjourned.